Welcome to Papa's Workshop. In this video, it is time to be able to make a new table for my grandkids. The table that they've had has been very successful, and they eat at this table, they play games at this table, but they've also outgrown this table, and it's time for a new one. Now I'm going to salvage as many parts off of the old table as I can to be able to make the larger table. Today I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. So let's get started. I want to thank all of my Patreons who help support this channel. Without this support, it would be very difficult to be able to continue to be able to make these videos. If you'd like to be able to participate, please go to patreon.com/papasworkshop. And again, thank you for supporting this channel. Now this is the look at the old table, and it has definitely seen better days. But it's time to be able to make a brand new one. I want to be able to keep the same basic design and the same proportions. Now I have, look at this, count not one, but I actually have 4 different layers because they have just literally worn it out over the years. And rather than take off the old layer, I would just simply add a new layer on top. But I want to be able to get all of this plastic off because the plywood is going to be used for another project. The legs themselves cannot be used again because they're going to be too short. I got to make this table taller. I will be able to use 2 of the 4 parts of the apron, and of course I'll be able to reuse all of the different screws. The little pad at the bottom of the leg that protects the floor, yes, I'll be able to use those again also. So again, this is basically a remake of the exact same table, just larger. After getting all 4 layers off, it's time to go ahead and break down the table. Now the screws that held this base to the tabletop are just simply screwed in with these wood screws, and I'm going to be able to reuse these again. I just have to drill holes into the new ones to be able to set it up to be able to use this. The apron itself, the long part, I'm going to be able to use because that becomes the short side for my new table. And of course the other side not going to work. I'm going to pop these off because these definitely will be able to be reused again. There's nothing wrong with them. The old table that I had for the grandkids was 28 inches long by 22 inches wide. That table worked really great when they were small kids, but they've grown quite a bit since then. And it's time to make the larger table. I like the actual proportions of the table, and I want to be able to keep that. The easiest way to be able to get the exact proportion is to simply set up a math problem using proportions. Here's how you do it. The first step, the old table, 28 over 22. Now that is the size and the ratio of the old table. My new table, I want to make it 35 inches long. So if the table's 35 inches long, how wide is it? That will be by X. To solve this problem, you just simply cross multiply. And if I multiply this out, it's going to be 770. To be able to get the X standing by itself, I need to divide both sides by the 28. And when I do that, 770 divided by 28 is actually 27.5. That would give me the exact proportion that I need for my table. I don't need to worry about a ½ inch. I'm going to round that up to 28 inches. So my new table will be 35 inches long, 28 inches wide. Unfortunately, I don't have any scrap plywood of the correct size, so guess what? I've got to be able to use a full sheet. The good thing about it is that little cart that I made, that little 2-wheel cart, that still is being used in my shop quite often, and that makes being able to move these large 4x8 full sheets around quite easily. Then from there, with the outfeed table set up, I can manage the full sheets by myself. Now I had already set the fence to the proper size, so I'm just going to go ahead and make this first cut. One of the things that I have often said, the tables that I have in my shop are all built to the height of the table saw. That makes them very useful. The outfeed table that I'm using to support this plywood is actually the router table. Again, it's built the same height as my table saw. And sliding that over in place makes a perfect outfeed table to be able to support the end of this plywood. It's now much easier to be able to cut the second piece. I'm just resetting up the fence to my correct measurement, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it. This is a much smaller piece now, much easier to be able to manage. But this gives me my tabletop. At this point, I just need to go ahead and round over the ends. And to be able to use the old tabletop is perfect. I like that radius, so I'm just going to go ahead and line up the old tabletop with the new one and be able to draw that radius right around. And of course, I'm going to do this on all four corners, and then I'm going to grab the jigsaw and be able to go ahead and cut this radius. From there, I'm going to take it over to the oscillating sander and smooth up the edges so it's nice, smooth, and square. Then I'll just grab the trim router, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch roundover bit, and I'm going to go ahead and put this roundover all the way around the top of this table. This serves two purposes. It makes it where the tablecloth is wrapped around very easily and it doesn't tear. It also makes it where it's much smoother and easier for the kids. I don't want them hurt either. I need to make 2 additional pieces of the apron, so I just have a piece of the premium pine that I'm just cutting to the proper width and length to be able to set that up. From there, it's over to the router table because I want to put that same little detail on that I had before. Now, with the old piece, I just want to make sure that my alignment is correct, and once I have that, I can just simply run my 2 new pieces of the apron through, and I'll have the same exact detail on my new pieces as I did with the old ones. The way this is designed, once I run this through the first time, I just simply turn it around and run it through the router table again. And that creates the exact same detail on the other side, and it makes it where it's perfectly aligned. That was the simplest, easiest way to be able to create the molding. And I think the results actually look quite nice. If you look at that, that is absolutely perfect, and it matches the old one. I do need to do just a little bit of sanding. The easiest way is take a round pencil, wrap the sandpaper around it, and that fits into this groove perfectly. And that cleans up any of the little burrs that still exist from the cutting. At the table saw, I went ahead and cut the legs. I needed new legs for this table, and these are 1.5 inch square. I wanted to take them over to the jointer and just clean up the edges and make sure that they are true and that they are actually square. From there, it is time to be able to go ahead and put the apron onto my new legs. I'm using a couple of the coasters that I've had. It's about 1/4 inch thick, and that is a perfect setback to be able to screw the apron back onto the legs. Now I'm using the pocket hole screws, and this is one side of the old table that I was able to reuse. It's nice to be able to recycle the parts so that it doesn't go into the scrap bin. I try to do this as much as I can in the shop on the different projects. For the 2 new pieces of the apron, I need to do a little bit more work. I have a 3/8 Forstner bit in, and I'm going to go ahead and drill the hole. The tape there is to get the correct depth so that that screw that's going to hold that tabletop on is not going to come all the way through. I have the fence aligned so that bit stays directly into the center, and I'm able to drill these holes very quickly and very accurately. I am using a pocket hole jig. Now this is the pocket hole jig by the Armor tool, and I absolutely love this. This is such a nice tool to be able to make the pocket holes. The vacuum cleaner is attached to this so that it's actually almost completely dustless, and that's one of the nice things that I really like about this also. it's time to be able to go ahead and attach these long pieces of the apron to the legs, and to be able to give them a little extra hand, I do have that clamp there that holds it nice and tight to the table. It's like having an extra set of hands. With all of this done, it's time to put the little feet back on, and I want those directly in the center. Easiest way, just be able to connect the diagonal lines from corner to corner. That gives me my center, and then I can take the hammer and just tap it right in. And of course, it's on the opposite side of the table. But now we can go ahead and just nail that in. And the only thing that's going to be left is to be able to paint this. And no, I'm not going to have you watch me paint this table. But I think the end result turned out quite nice. I love it, and I think the grandkids are going to love this new table. Quite frankly, it looks just like the old one, only bigger. And they're funny about that. They wouldn't like to have a new table that didn't look just like the old one. I want to thank everybody for watching the video today, and I hope you was able to pick up a few little tips along the way. So if you choose to be able to build a table for your grandkids or kids, you'll be able to do it and have a great time being able to do that. I also want to be able to thank all of my subscribers and everyone who viewed this video and come and visit my channel. I really appreciate it, and the subscribers that I have are just absolutely fantastic, and I really appreciate it. You just don't know how much that I really appreciate what you guys do, because without you, I wouldn't have a channel. So I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next video that I do.